Victoria.
Hi, César.
Everyone.
I've got quite a practical question. I heard you another day saying about caring caring for your body, but not being fanatic about your body, which I can understand that. But simple things like eating food and sleeping and, keeping it tidy and clean, so that kind of comes naturally. But things like, I don't know, doing exercises or taking supplements, these are
Why
a
not?
little bit extra things. So then, is that not, I'm thinking, is that a wish, or is that I still believe that I'm body and mind? Am I enforcing that, or how does that
Maybe
work?
it may be part of taking care of the body, right? For example, how do you prefer to go to a long trip? In a car that it is working properly, or in a car that goes and I mean, how do we leave you on the way, right? So as long as we don't overdo it, as long as we don't become fanatic of the body, in fact, as long as we don't identify oneself with the body, everything is okay. You can perfectly do exercises and see who is doing the exercises.
How can you do an exercise and not identify yourself with the body? So you you
Then,
you wouldn't exercise because you want to improve the body.
what is the difference between doing exercises or cooking lunch? It's a physical activity. Who is the doer? Right? Who is the doer of motherhood? Who is the doer of sisterhood? Who is the doer of the job at the office? Who is the doer of the driving of the car or getting in a bus? Right? There's not difference, right? So the inquiry is not something that we do casually or now and then during the day, right? The inquiry is something that goes on all along, right? The waking state, while the body is doing whatever the body is doing, right? So if you don't identify yourself with the body, there is not a chance that you can overdo anything, including over exercising.
Hope that you're going to say I don't need to exercise.
No, see, when I did karate for many years, okay, since I was a teenager, at the age of 14, I believe I started, okay, and I got like high degree, and because I stopped, it would be even higher. I will be like 6 time black belt Shotokan. I stopped in 4th dan, right? And I also made a mistake that I should stop doing this and I should stop. It's an ideas also about what I should be doing or shouldn't be doing, right? I said I went to India and it becomes obvious, permanently obvious I am that, right? I had by destiny to go to South Africa, for example, right? Move to South Africa. And I lived there for nearly 2 years, right? And what was my job? I was teaching karate, right? And I was training, right? Actually, when I arrived in South Africa, normally this is a very renowned Japanese organization, right? Which is the only one that is recognized by the emperor as such. The other ones are like, this is the Japan Karate Association, JKA. Then normally we go to another country, you want to train with them, but you follow some kind of protocol. So you go to the school and you go to the leader of organization there, to the chief instructor, say, I'm here, I would like to train. This is my name, this is my degree, there are my certificates, and so on. And they say, okay, welcome. We invite you for some training that's going to be in your state, whatever day. And I went training, right? And they were very happy with what they saw because straight away they offered me a job to be part of the National Coaching Commission, and they were going to hold the World Championship, and they invite me to participate, not only as a coaching commission, as a trainer, but also as a participant. I was 30 something years old already, right? And I did it like a sort of inspiration for the kids, you know, for the rest. So what's wrong with that? See, so what I thought I was not supposed to be doing, and I am doing it for a living, right? Because I was not 100% or 24 hours a day like now doing this. That changed completely after some time, right? Then I went after that, I went to Australia, and I was working as a manager of a supermarket. So what difference does it make between this activity, physical activity, or that physical activity?
But does it still then comes into play whatever is meant to happen will happen? And if, for example, I don't have any need or wish to exercise, then I just like go without it. And then some people really enjoy exercise, so then they would do it and wouldn't even think about it. And and that would be what's supposed to be for them. So the fact that I'm here like in the mornings debating, should I do, should I not do? So do I follow my mind, or do I just forget about it totally and live my life as
That's a difficult question to answer, because if the ego is not there, the question will simply not arise. Okay.
mm,
So you will perhaps wake up in the morning and put your yoga pants or whatever it is and that you do, and you go and do it. And there is no question about it. And there will be no feeling of stewardship, right? While the action is taking place. And the joy that you will feel more than you doing the exercises is the joy of your own self, your reality. The happiness that we feel when we get something that we like, or when we get rid of something that we like, is because the mind keeps quiet, because it's not looking anymore for something or to get rid of something. So the mind stops seeking. When the mind stops seeking, becomes still and merges in consciousness. And the happiness that the mind is experiencing is the happiness of its reality. But it believes that it depends upon something external, right? So I may do my yoga happily, right? I happily do yoga, but the yoga doesn't make me happy, right?
mm,
I happily spend time with my partner or my husband or my wife or whatever, but my husband or my wife or my kids or my family or my anything is not what makes me happy, right? It's not what gives me the sense of wholeness and completeness and wellness, and which is basically the actual sense of just mere beingness. Hmm? I can happily go to the park or to the beach or to my best friend's birthday party, right? I happily go there. I am okay going there. It's not that I'm going there, and when I get there, I'm gonna have fun. It's gonna be cool, right? Because the mind is not there actively thinking that if I do this, if I do that, if I get there or get rid of that or get away from there, I will be happy.
mm. But this is what's changed, because before it was more like, oh, how I'm gonna look or how my body will look, and the motivation behind that, it was not about staying healthy or maintaining the body. It was more about looks. But now when this is gone, it's like, well, what's the point? So if I get an urge spontaneously that I want to go for a walk, then I go and enjoy that walk. But this kind of, I don't know,
How you call the front part of the truck that covers the engine that has a name?
a bonnet.
Yeah. See, the bonnet of my car is not a nice looking one because it's burned out by the sun, right? But the engine is working okay, right? So my car is not nice looking, but it's functioning properly, right? So the same thing may be applicable for the body. It may not be a nice looking. I may not have a six pack. I may not look like, see, I may not be as flexible that I put my legs under my head under my legs and kiss my own bum, right? Maybe not, but it is okay. I'll be able to take a selfie doing that and put it on Facebook. So if I am a musician, right, should I stop being a musician? Because we must do what feels natural for us, right? And even if we love to, we love to do it, it's more than if that we like to do it. It's like we can't help it, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
want
I get it.
natural, right?
Yeah. And so if exercising is not natural for me, then I shouldn't be worrying about it.
Yeah, because the life of this body has to come to an end at some point, and it will not come to an end unless what it came into existence for finishes, right? So if you do the inquiry, we shouldn't be so concerned about body activities, right?
Mm,
That
yeah.
preordained. If they are meant to happen, if you are meant to do exercises, you won't be able to stop it. And if you are not meant to happen, there is no chance that you will move one finger for that. So we are not concerned here about the quantity or the quality of physical activities, not even on the quantity, about the quantity and the quality of our thoughts or feelings or emotions or sensory. No. Who is the experiencer of that? This is what we are looking for. To find out that there is no experiencer of that. Right? That there is no actual experiencer of that, doer of that, knower of that, seer of that. That is just phenomenal in its totality, and consciousness of the phenomenon, and the fact that they are inseparable. And from the consciousness point of view, everything is consciousness. Consciousness doesn't conceive the manifestation as other. The mind is what creates the impression that the world is something other than consciousness. Actually, that there is not even a consciousness, right? That I am here. Mind creates the world, right? It manifests the world like a spider brings the website. Like the spider brings the spider web out of itself, right?
Mm.
And then the mind identifies itself with each individual body, whether it is human, animal, vegetal, mineral, subatomic, a particle, an atom, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? There is ego everywhere. So it gives the impression that everything is moving individually, right? So when the mind identifies itself with the body, say, I am here, see? And I'm a separate individual being, see? Here on my own, I can do whatever I want. I can have freedom of choice, and everything is outside of myself, separate from myself, and independent from everybody. And consciousness, who knows what that is, that doesn't even exist. So it can even deny that which gives life to the mind itself. Because without consciousness, the mind cannot be. Even the consciousness that the mind has of itself, right? It has it because it is borrowing consciousness from consciousness. So the apparent self-awareness of the mind is because it's borrowing awareness from the self. It's like the image in the mirror. It's borrowing its reality, its existence, to the body that is standing in front of the mirror. It has no life on its own. This is what the mind does. And the mirror, let's say that it is the body. And because the mind is projected in the mirror, it appears to be the mirror when it's projected, right? As I am a separate individual image, right? So we are not concerned about world affairs, and if you are, it's for the practicality of daily life, right? If you're in a war zone, you may have to be updated what's going on, right? And it's just merely for the safety of the physical integrity or your family or whatever, right? But just a practical means, right? Not a psychological one, right? Most of what people do is because they want to keep a psychological sense of self based in identity with the body. right? My look, my strength, my flexibility, my wealth, my knowledge, right? My degrees, my position in a job or in the family or whatever, right? Or even in the ashram, right? Just to keep a psychological sense of self. That's what the ego is. A psychological entity, see? A mental self. There's a mental image of myself based on the identity with the body. I am the body, and I have this idea of myself. I may have low self-esteem or high self-esteem. Both are nonsense, right? Because the self that I am talking about is the body, right?
So talking about these so personality traits, I guess, with the low self-esteem or high energy or whatever. So
Well,
it's personality. So somebody is designed that way because that is their destiny to be that way in this world. So there's nothing needs to be like, oh, I need a therapy to overcome my, self-esteem, for example, or something. So there's nothing to fix, isn't it? These were set by conscience, and they are,
the best therapy, okay?
yeah.
Whose self are we talking about? Some people criticize this knowledge because they call it spiritual bypass. Yes, it's not a spiritual bypass, it's a mental bypass. You bypass the mind altogether, you know, right? Who wants to deal with that and what for? And who is dealing with that? It's the mind. It's the mind that is looking for a better image of itself and then to be satisfied with it, right? So it has to become something else. And there is always a point of reference, right? There is always a perspective. Otherwise, how can you choose an image if it doesn't suit you? You will have a preconceived idea to choose an idea of yourself, right? So it's going to be more of the same, right? It's just that it is certified, but especially that this is the right image, right? And the same people that says that also say that those who does not fit into that box, they are not normal. They have a psychological problem. They have a mental issue, right? Or a brain damage, right? Because a brain damage is different, right? It's just a physical thing that you might not be able to help it, right? Maybe you can with some, I don't know, chemistry that you put in the body or some, I don't know, surgery or whatever, right? But who is a psychologist? It's the same that the patient, it's I. So it's the mind analyzing mind, and saying how the mind is supposed to be. So what self? It's just this self is made out of thoughts. See, where are you and who are you when you don't think?
In a very happy place.
Yes, and you are that happy place.
The other question that I have with that when I do self-inquiry, and it seems like I do go quite deep, and to stay there is very nice. But then when it comes to the next day and I have to do kind of logical work on some computer or something, I seem I'm not with it as much as when I'm a bit more in ego and not as much in myself. And I had thoughts, if I get fully awakened, will I be able even to do any mental work like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. You won't lose your memory, or the knowledge that you already accumulated by education or training or whatever, right? You will lose the capacity to think or the capacity to feel. The thought that will disappear is I am the body and all the thoughts that are associated with that thought, right? Because when you say I am a programmer, for example, right? I means the body, and programming is the knowledge that you acquire apparently through that body. Yes? So you can perfectly carry on working as a programmer, see, without the idea of being a programmer. So the knowledge of programming will not disappear. You may get even more knowledge to improve it, right? That's not the issue here, right? Well, one of the things that surprised me by seeing it directly, by reading it from other sages like Ramana Maharshi, is that he was tremendously careful. And whatever he did, he basically did it till perfection, right? So when he would read the newspaper, when he folded back the newspaper, people will say that he folded even better than how it came from the printing, right? From the printing machine. And he will do cooking or cleaning or whatever he was doing, making books, his handwriting, everything was done efficiently. And the ashram was run until now. This is like the ashram runs like a Swiss clock, right? Baba was also extremely efficient, and he would handle a huge amount of activities during the day. At 4 o'clock in the morning, he was already having meetings with the whole staff member of the ashram. He would dealing with water projects, with hospitals, roads, organization for social work, educational institutes, medical institutes. He was dealing with everything directly, supervising every single detail, right? So efficiency might be the result of no mind. It's a mind that is, first, it is selfless, right? And that mind is just focused in what it's doing. When you do focus in what you do, there is a great possibility that the job is done properly, right? Now, if you have all these mental distractions when you're working, then you can make a mistake, right? Things can go wrong. You can miscalculate something. Right? Or if you're stressed about how will be the outcome of my programming or my job or whatever it is. So you bring that stress and that becomes an obstacle. So again, we are not, this is a very good question. And many people ask this question, how will I function in the world with no mind? Because people don't understand that mind in this context means I am the body, not, see, when there is no ego, let's put it in this way, the useless thinking will not arise anymore. Only useful thinking, right? If the ego hasn't disappeared completely and you are inquiring, there is an intelligence there that wakes up and operates that without you making any effort, the useless thinking will be discarded and the useful thinking will get applied. So if you need your mind for the practicality of daily life, you don't have to worry, this will come. Even if you don't have the knowledge, that knowledge may get revealed to you, right? Some sort of revelations. Pling, right? Because there is no knowledge that comes from outside. Everything comes from within you, right?
Sounds good. It's, I guess, from like reading books like Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, one of his books that I read, and where he got enlightened, and then for 5 years he was just spending days sitting on the benches and feeding birds, and you know, not kind of, it takes time to return to world. And I think there was someone else, David Hawkins, maybe the American guy, that also shut himself for 7 years from everybody. And I guess as you now, you know, as I'm now in my ego, it catches on those things and say, oh, don't go there because you might not be able to, function.
Otherwise, you would spend 5 years feeding birds on a park bench. No. See, certainly there is a period of time of deep self-absorption, right? But at the same time, see, not everybody has to go through the same thing that someone else is going through. Okay? I got that, got those moments. And I was living a kind of a monastic life, right? So I could safely go through that, right? But again, I had to manage to survive. And I was having a job, right, that allowed me to go to India for 6 months. And I will go to India and buy things. I was working for a shop, right? And my job was to go to India and buy woods for that boutique and send it to Venezuela and spend the rest of the time of my visa there and come back. And then when the shop runs out of things, then I will have to go back again and do it again. But it is difficult to understand that during the middle of working activity, you can go through the same process of absorption because it's the ego that it is withdrawn, right? At least that is my experience, right? But certainly you will go through, everybody goes through that, right? And everybody goes through that moment like, what's the point, right? You realize the illusoriness of all this, the temporariness of all this, right? That even if I have the most flexible, strong, and nice looking body, eventually it's going to decay. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look its strength, flexibility, and it's going to die, right? So what's it, so much effort for what? So certainly, we reach to that conclusion when the ego is gone, right? When there is no, it's like I can drop this body right now, right? And enjoy for the eternity the blissfulness of my reality, right? What comes after the ego is gone and the body is drops, right? But we also come to understand that we have what to do. This body, whatever this body is going to go through in this life, is already preordained by one's own words and thoughts and actions in the past. Nobody can avoid that. Okay, some of that may be destroyed, maybe fully, right? But nobody knows actually what this body is meant to do. So then we forget about it. And we let it do whatever it's meant to do. In the meantime, we still are absorbed in one's reality. It is possible.
Thank you.
So don't let this question doubt these questions. You doubt the doubter. Because the mind is clever, say, no, I'm not going there because if I go there, what's going to happen? See, the ego sometimes says, okay, if I disappear, who's going to shine the sun? Right? And flow the rivers and and satellite, who's going to beat the heart? And see, even as the body, no, this is something for them we can ponder about it, right? And you will get to some understanding. Even if I identify myself as the body, right? What am I doing as the body to grow the hair? Am I there consciously squeezing my hair out of my head? No. Am I consciously beating the heart? Am I consciously operating the immune system, the nervous system, so each thing goes into one organ and the message? I'm bloody doing nothing. I don't even know this is happening unless somebody told me this is happening, right? If somebody doesn't tell me that there is a heart and a stomach, you have no clue, right? So what is this actually doing on its own, right? And what is the freedom of will of this piece of flesh, bones, and blood, right? That it even itself doesn't say I. The mind that that claims to be I, to be it, right? And who's doing all this? Right? So the choice of this body is the same freedom of choice of the wind to blow to the east, or, see, or to the west at 10 kilometers per hour, or to turn into a tornado, right? That means none, right?
Mm. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
So we leave the body alone. Even Ramana said, let the body do as it pleases. Whatever happens, if because of God will, or destiny, or karma, or by any other reason, if there is any, right? So leave it alone. Forget about that. In the meantime, see, what is it that I actually is, right? What I actually am. This is what we should really, really be focused on. In the meantime, body activities will go on automatically. And if you need the mind for the practicality, it doesn't matter. It will come to your rescue, will operate and keep quiet again. The idea is to be sure that I doesn't mean body and thoughts, right? To make sure that to make sure that we understand, see, by direct experience that I actually means consciousness. And if I am a mere witness, why should I bother about anything else? Even if you put yourself in troubles in the past or in the present, if one fully surrenders, means if we genuinely keep quiet, we may be protected from that, safe from that, from all troubles. I remember once, first time I traveled overseas when I was living in India, by the way, I was to Lithuania. I went to Vilnius, right? I was invited to translate for a month to translate my teacher's books into Lithuanian, help the people that was going to translate. And I was supposed to be resting because I got sick. I was for 2 years non-stop talking, and I got a viral disease, and it was anyway. And I went there, and these people became a little bit funny, became a little bit possessive, right? And they thought that they had control over me, that they could tell me what to do or not to do, where to go, and all that stuff, right? And I said, I'm sorry, but you don't know this, right? So things were going a little bit out of hand, right? And they took advantage of the fact that it was winter, right? And I am South American, so I was dressing like a cabbage to survive. I don't know what you guys can wear a sweater, which is I don't know, +5, you wear a sweater, right? So it was winter, and at that time, not everybody speaks English in Lithuanian, right? And I was in the middle of a forest. That was a long time ago, like 20 years ago. And these people said to me, you know what? Move out of my house. And I was in the middle of the forest. I didn't even know how to get out of that, right? Because the house was in a forest, right? So how can I get out of here? Nobody will, and how can I find a place? And they did it purposely, knowing that, right, that I was trapped in their hands. And I said, okay. And I said to this person, see, I already packed my things because I saw this coming, right? But you give me 20 minutes, I told this person, okay? And I will make clear that you understand that you have no control over this, right? This is over the control of a higher power, not you. And say, what are you gonna do? Just give me 15, 20 minutes, right? And I sat on a sofa and I closed my eyes and I kept quiet, right? And forgot everything. And after 20, 25 minutes, somebody came to the house and knocked the door, right? And that person asked for me, right? And I said, what's the matter? No, no, no. I felt that he needed some help and I want to see what this all about. And I said, yes, I need help. I said, what do you need? I need a place to stay. I have to move out of this house. He said, sure, come and stay with me until we find a place to stay, right? And I can tell you thousands of stories like that from my direct experience and from people that were with me in the same environment, handling the same knowledge, right? But to surrender fully, to let go of the wheel, right? Because we believe we are driving. See, we are like a little children sitting on the co-pilot seat with a driving wheel toy, right? Believing that we are driving the car while Papa is driving the car. And then if I let go, we're gonna crash. See, you keep on crashing and putting yourself into trouble because you keep on steering the wheel of your mind into this direction and that direction, right?
Does that will still arise?
Yeah.
Does that, as you said, to surrender and let go of the will to still
We,
arise?
we may surrender partially at the beginning when we realize that it is okay that you let go of the driving wheel, that you are safe, right? And then you don't hold the driving wheel anymore. Once we have a glimpse of our reality, and then we surrender to it, right? Because that is what we are, right? That is the reality of the mind. Right? See, I remember a story of my own, I will call him teacher, right? It's safe now to call him teacher now, he said, otherwise he will smack me on my head. But his teacher came to him and materialized a tulsi leaf. In India, tulsi leaf is a sacred, they consider to be a sacred leaf, and gave it to him, right? And he didn't know what to do with that because he gave him the leaf and turned around and walked away. Because his guru gave it to him, kept it in his pocket. After a few minutes, Baba came back and said, give me the tulsi leaf. And then he took it with the two fingers like this and blew it. And it was straight away coated in gold and gave it to him back, right? He didn't know what to do with that. He was like, oh, he put it back in his pocket, right? After a few minutes, Baba came back and said, give me again the tulsi leaf. And then Baba took it, blew it, the golden coat disappeared, put it in his mouth, chew it and swallow it. And teacher just scratched his head, having no clue what was going on, right? Give me this, take it away from me, and then gold, and then take it away from me, and then this, and then that. And then normally a devotee that knows more or less the ways of the guru, right? That sometimes it's very difficult to understand when it is not verbal, right? Even if it is verbal, we may not understand it. Felt pity for him, right? And explained him, right? The leaf represents you, body, mind. See? So you came from him, right? When he asks you for the leaf, he's telling you to surrender to him, right? So give your life to him because you owe your life to him. And you did it. And when you do it, see, the golden code means you're going to be protected, you're going to be safe, it will never betray you, right? And at the end, out of an act of surrender, okay, which brings self-realization, you will merge back into him. right? So my experience also says that I've been placed in quite funny situations, right? And somehow it's like you're going to go through things, okay, whatever it is, and you will find that you go through it like a knife cutting through butter, right? Still, you will go through it, you may have to do things, to say things, right? To act, right? But see, we surrender fully. Never going to be, we betray ourselves. If we put ourselves into trouble, then we cry for help. Right?
So even when people are enlightened, there's still whatever destiny it was kind of made for them, that still continues, isn't it? If some of them meant to be teachers, they become teachers. Some of them, go and live on the top of the mountain for the rest of, or some of them do whatever.
Yes. Yes. So there is no particular lifestyle for the so-called realized being. There is no such thing. There are people that realize the self and never tell anybody that they realize the self and never speak about this to anyone. Some may teach few, some may teach thousands, right? So there is no actual point of reference as anything. You will never know who is enlightened or self-realized by his or her actions. Perhaps when you see how unaffected that person is by the outcome of his or her own life, right? I mean, Jesus was crucified. The apostles have a terrible end. Socrates, Buddha himself has to struggle with the challenges of the same Brahmin, the religious caste in India, right? So there is no way. See, the destiny can be reduced to ashes by fully surrender. And if there is something left, we won't bother by that. We won't be bothered. We won't be affected. So if I can write books about that, I won't. But sometimes I share these stories when I feel that it is absolutely necessary, right? So we lose the fear to surrender fully, to let go. But we don't let go anything. We let go oneself. See? We let go the I that says that wants to let go. That I am actually that I. Oh, how many devotees I met in India, right? That you tell the story, see, those who surrender, see, and they say, forget it. They will say, forget about you, forget about your life. There is no you and your life, forget it. That doesn't exist. You have an idea how many times I try to avoid speaking to people and answering questions. And here I am. And here I am. Not because of, it's like I know what it takes, right? And I will look around and I say, I don't see in them what it takes, right? Then you learn, well, tell them whatever they need to be told, right? So they can go away.
It doesn't look that you're not enjoying what you're doing. So.
It's interesting when you, so to speak, play the role of a devotee because you have no whatever, right? You're just a devotee. But when you are placed in the position of that you have to teach, not that I think of myself as a teacher, right? But when you're in that position, you say, oh, that's a different story, right? And you know who is really honest and sincere and who is not, who comes to challenge you intellectually, or you have to play intellectually, right? Like it is an intellectual meeting or something, and I know, and you know, and I know, see, the same time, and you know, and you're enlightened, and me too, but somehow I am more enlightened than you, and all this nonsense, right? And then you have to deal with that, right? Somehow you may have to say something or simply ignore them altogether, whatever it takes. Even Ramana, you think that Ramana wanted to be the teacher that he became and have to face thousands of people coming to see him? No, for 16 years, he didn't say a word to anybody, right? Only few people that recognize. Actually, the first person that took him out of this hole under a temple in India, he says, this man should have seen something in me because my body stank, right? My physical condition was nasty. I was beaten. There was pus coming through wounds in my legs. Okay. I stank. My body wasn't a pleasant thing to carry around, right? Even though he took me out of there and began to take care of me. So if you are meant to sit down and like Ramana Maharshi and forget, you don't worry about anything. Right? There's no one real reason for us to worry about. I can only reassure you and encourage you to go on. That's all. I can't help it neither.
You're selling it well. You're selling it well. It's only after that experience before I heard, I mean, the theory and everything, and I could logically understand it all, but it was so not attractive for my mind. It was like full of fears, like, I've got kids, I just, not now, later, and I want to improve my life, I want to improve myself, and this is very, very not attractive. But once it's been revealed, as you say, like a tiny glimpse, is that surrender. Obviously it's not full because I'm not fully awakened, but I know what you're talking about. Is straight away stop doing things that I was doing, and kind of it's just changed so many things. It's so powerful, and it is so natural that you just trust straight away that is the real.
Even as a seeker, right? Even if the ego hasn't gone completely and you are really serious about this, everything's going to be cleared out. See, and all what you need, right, will come. Answers, books, people, maybe money, whatever it is needed, right? If you really are into it, everything shows up. What is necessary shows up, and what is not is taken away.
Mm.
People, books, knowledge, that stuff.
It seems that it's becoming much more harmonious, letting go of control. I used to be quite, trying to control and plan and expect and get disappointed when it wasn't my way. But it's much more, the less I do, the more it gets done. It's almost that feeling, and it gets done, you know, just unexpectedly. I wouldn't even think it would go down that way. So I can already notice that. what you're talking about when you say that everything will be taken care of. I guess in the Bible, Jesus also said that, look at the birds and, who looks after them, how they get fed, and so it's all going to be okay.
Yeah,
All's well.
all that points to the fact that there is a higher power, see, great intelligence, right? That is taking care of all. We just simply believe to be separate, independent from that, when in reality we are that. Even the little amount of intelligence that we possess is provided by the unlimited intelligence that is already there. That was one of the most interesting things for me when I started talking, right? And until now, I never know who am I to say anything, right? So whatever I need to say just come out. And if I don't, nothing comes out, right? I identify myself in that sense with a dialogue between Jesus and the apostles, right? When he said, okay, pack your things and go. And share with everybody what I share with you for free, right? Of course, they will accept donations always, right? But they never ask. For free means do not ask for anything. See? And then they say, oh, yeah, whatever, right? With you, everything is cool. If there is no food, you multiply bread and fishes. See? Or whatever it is even if there is no more wine, you bring it back, right? So what are we going to eat? And they say, don't worry, that will be provided. Good. Food budget, deal. And when are we going to sleep? Right? And they said, that will be provided. Okay, great. Accommodation already organized. Now, the fundamental question is, what are we going to tell to the people? And I say, oh my God, go away. You see, even that will be provided. Leave me alone. Do as I say, right? That's my version of the story, but it is like that, right? I didn't want to do this, and my teacher told me, you're young and stubborn, right? So it seems that you have to become aware by yourself, right? That this is the best thing you can do, right? So here I am.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please, by all means.